Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ashley and today we're going to be adding to the one look per pan series that I've started here on my channel. Now this series was inspired by Kaylee Wesley. I first saw her doing this type of series and I thought it was just so intriguing and I really wanted to stretch myself to get more use out of the palettes that I have, and so I started it here on my channel as well. I do have an entire playlist which I'll make sure to link up in the cards for you. At this point in time, I've only got one palette on there. It is my MAC Aladdin palette. But today, I'm bringing you the second palette. And you guys, I am so stinking excited to be bringing this to you. So this is actually Lethal Cosmetics. This is a German makeup brand that I first saw Teresa is Dead using. So I did pick my own palette. I chose all of the shades that you see here, and I'm going to be doing 12 looks using this eyeshadow palette. Now this is actually going to work just a little bit differently than my previous palette, I guess. I really wanted to only purchase shades that either A, spoke to me, or B, I didn't already have in my collection. So for that reason, there is not a lot here in the way of like transition shades. So for this particular one look per pan, when necessary, I am going to pull a transition shade from another palette, but predominantly this is going to be the palette that we use. So this is going to be look number 1 for one look per pan featuring my Lethal Cosmetics. Okie dokie, I have you zoomed in all nice and close. I have gone ahead and primed my lids using my MAC Paint Pot in Painterly and then set that using just a matte cream shade. And I think I'm going to go in with this gorgeous mossy green color, and I'm actually going to build that all through my transition area. Before I do that though, we're going to go ahead and we're going to... yeah. Such a fun feeling. I don't know why, but it is. Oh, I'm so stinking excited for these shadows. I purchased these on June 21st is when June 20th is when I placed my order. June 21st is when they confirmed it. And I didn't actually receive these until July 11th. No, yes, July 11th. But I am just so super stoked to be using these. And I am going in quite lightly to start with. I've never used Lethal Cosmetics before, and I want to be able to have control as far as how my look turns out. But so far, I really, really enjoy this very mossy green. It's kind of a combination of like a sage green and a moss green. And I really enjoy it, but it definitely has kind of a brownish tan undertone. And so I think that that goes really well as a transition, you know what I mean? Because as you blend it out, it's giving you that sort of tone, I guess is the way I'm trying to say it. Now I am noticing that there is some kick up in the pan. This shadow here is a little bit softer, but it's going on absolutely beautifully. Like, I have no complaints. Granted, it's the first shade. I have no complaints over the quality of this particular shadow. It is beautiful. And honestly, kick up does not bother me. I expect it in my makeup, to be honest. And I'm also very, very gentle with my makeup, so the fact that there's a little bit of kick up means that I'm just dipping my brush or tapping very lightly my brush into that kick up so that I can utilize it, if that makes sense. All right, I am trying to blow this out a little bit more because I notice, especially when I'm going back and I'm editing, that because my eyes are hooded or deep set or whatever it is that they are, that while it looks, you can see all of it in the mirror when I'm doing my makeup, when I'm looking straight on, sometimes it gets lost in the folds. So I'm trying to learn to take it up a little bit higher than what I ordinarily would to help combat that. Okay, I think that's sufficient for what it is that I'm looking to do. All right, and then I'm going to take a smaller, where's my Morphe brush that I like so much? Here it is. Whoa, dropping stuff. Okay, so this is the Morphe 330. It's just kind of a fluffy but still tapered sort of brush. And I think I'd like to go into this beautiful deep brown here, and I'm going to work that along the outer V of my eye. I tell you, one thing that always makes me just so sad is when you disturb something for the very first time, so especially since it's got a design embossed in it, and you start to wear that away, because, you know, it's kind of like, you know, when you open a peanut butter jar for the first time and you don't want to break the surface or butter or what have you. I know that sounds super weird, but I feel like that with makeup a little bit, that I don't like disrupting the perfection. I don't know if that makes sense or not. This shade is definitely very dark. It is a brown, but it's almost like ash. So what I mean by that is kind of sooty. You know, when you have a campfire and once you're done burning everything, if you were to handle the burnt wood, it has that kind of sootiness to it, which I like. I think it's going to give it a lot of versatility. And I think that's what really drew me to this color when I was choosing it on the website. I really appreciate when you can create your own palettes. And I think that the buying experience was absolutely lovely. I really did have no complaints and no issues. And even though shipping took so stinking long, bear in mind that it is another country that it's coming from, that this is a smaller brand, and so they are creating these shadows. You know, they're not just sitting around in a warehouse, I think is what I'm trying to say. So I don't really have a problem with that. It's, for me, I'm so used to like Sephora, where I order it and 2 days later it's sitting on my doorstep. So I have to exercise my own patience. But okay, so I think I'm going to take this gold shade all along the lid and use, here's going to be for me a true test, because you know me, I don't like to have to use my finger when applying a shimmer shade. So I'm going to again take Morphe. This is the M167, and we're going to apply that all along the lid. And it is definitely applying with the brush, which makes me very happy. Now, as with all shimmer shades, if you apply it with your finger, you're going to get a much more intense payoff. But I like that it doesn't require you to do that. You know what I mean? Oh, I think that looks very nice. Look at how pretty that is. Oh my goodness. I think that is applying so, so nicely. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to do for the moment is I am going to take just a small little bit of this, deeper brown shade here, and I'm just going to kind of blend the shimmer shade into it a little bit more, just to give it a more cohesive look. Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to go ahead and go off camera, clean up some of the edges just like always, apply my face makeup, and then we'll come back for the lower lash line. Okay, so we're back. I have all of my face makeup on, the whole shebang. So now we're going to work on the lower lash line, and we're going to do very similar work to the bottom lash line as we've done to the top. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to take this green shadow here that we used all through the crease, and I'm going to blend that all along the lower lash line. And then I'll go in with that kind of burnt wood kind of color, and I'll press that right along the lower lash line in the outer third to kind of act as almost like a faux liner. And I realize this is my first time using it, so this is genuinely a first impression. But based on today, I'm so glad I picked this up. And just as I did with the Aladdin palette, once I get done creating a look for every pan, I am going to at that point give you a full review of this palette and everything that I think of it. Because I did notice that, and again with kind of a more pointy brush, take that deeper shade and put it all just in the outer, just a little bit in the outer third, not much. But I did notice with the MAC Aladdin palette, I really had a very good idea of what I thought of it there by the end. The good, the bad, the indifferent, all of it. Okay, so just a tiny bit. I don't want it to go overboard too dark. And then finally, I am going to take this shimmery shade right here, and I'm going to put that in the inner corner and along my brow bone. Ooh, look at that. And I am barely putting my brush in there. That is so reflective. Oh my gosh. I love that. All right, so last step, we're going to go ahead and apply some mascara, and then we'll come back for the final look. All right, my friends, so here we have the final look with a little bit of mascara applied. And I have to say, I'm really digging this. I know that I say that every time I do my makeup, that, hey, I really like this look, but I do. I think that this green is just very, very unique to my collection. It's definitely green, but it blends out into kind of a yellow-based tan, and it's just so interesting and unique. I think the shimmers came off absolutely beautifully, and everything just blended so, so nicely. So I think that we're gonna have a really fun road ahead of us using this guy right here, and I can't wait to bring you the next look. All right, here we are, look number 2. We are going to start with this sort of purpley grayish color, and we're gonna put that all the way through the crease. That looks nice, that looks nice. It has been so hard for me not to just go in and use these eyeshadows every single day while I'm getting ready for work, because I have just been so excited about digging into these and playing with them, and gosh. But I wanted to save them and share them with you guys. But they have just been sitting on my vanity and taunting me every morning. And I think I'm gonna go a little bit on the dramatic side today, which is always exciting to do. And I feel like the eyeshadow on this eye is going on a little bit better than on the other eye. Do you ever have that happen to you where you've got one side that just goes flawlessly and the other side that's like, no, I'm gonna be rebellious? I feel like that happens to me often. Alright, so we're gonna leave that there and possibly go back in with it a little bit later. And then using a more precise brush, I'm gonna go in again with that really, really burnt, charred brown color. I love calling it that because that just feels so much like what it is. It's just like burnt wood and I love it. These colors just go on so nicely. And even though I do always have to kind of clean up, that's because I'm messy when I apply. But so far, I have not noticed like a crazy amount of fallout. Remember when I was doing the Aladdin palette and it was just raining down everywhere? I have not noticed that at all so far with this palette, or these shadows rather. Since I built my own palette, it's not necessarily a palette that you could go and necessarily purchase by name. But I haven't noticed any actual fallout, which is very, very nice. So for those of you that are, you know, more skilled at doing your makeup than I am, you wouldn't necessarily have to, at least so far, do your face makeup second and your eyes first. That's just what I typically do because it is what I'm more comfortable with, but alright, so that's how we're going to leave that. And then we're going to go in with this beautiful like watermelon color. And I'm going to put that all the way across the lid. And I used a brush before, which is my preference. But for this shade, I think I'm going to go in with my finger just to see how that applies since I haven't done that yet. Oh, look at that. It is so pretty. It is so pretty. Definitely, obviously, more intense color payoff when using your finger. That looks really pretty. And it contrasts really, really nicely with that burnt wood sort of color. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the other eye as well. And I feel like it's layering nicely, both on top of itself as well as on top of that matte shadow, which is good. Okay, I am happy with that degree of pigmentation. Okay, so while I'm happy with that degree of pigmentation, I am going to build up the outer corner, and I think I'm actually going to take that burnt wood color, and I think I'm going to work that into the crease as well, because I feel like the original crease shade did get a little bit lost, and I think it's probably too light to stand up to this beautiful watermelon shade. And I think I'm getting myself a little carried away. This eye is just, I don't know if it's because I'm crossing my arm or what, but it does not seem to want to cooperate nearly as nicely. I don't think that's any issue with the eyeshadow. I think it's just me. Okay, so that looks like a disaster, but I'm going to go ahead and just clean it up a little bit, put on my face makeup, and then we'll come back and do the lower lash line, and I'm fully confident that it's going to look fantastic. Okay, face makeup on and a little bit of cleanup done. So I'm going to go back into the original shade that we used in the crease, and I'm going to buff that all along the lower lash line just to set down a little bit of a base to work with. I think that I'm going to go a little bit simple and just sort of recreate on the bottom lash line what we did up on the top. I don't want to provide too much contrast because I'm really loving the way that the red on the eyes looks. Okay, and then I'm going to take a nice little pointy brush and I'm going to go into that watermelon shade. I'm going to work that all into the lower lash line. Like, we're gonna go for it. It's gonna be all over. I just love that these shadows, the shimmery shadows specifically, work so well with a brush. I like having that versatility. Now, anyone with sensitive eyes, anytime you're using something with a red pigment in it, you just want to give yourself a little bit of time to make sure that you don't have a sensitivity. Because I know that when it comes to more sensitive eyes, reds seem to be one of the more common triggers. And I'm really just loading it up down here. Okay, I love the way that that looks. I'm just going to use this same brush. I'm just going to wipe it off on the towel sitting in my lap because I'm ultra lazy today. I'm going to take that same brush and I'm going to take that beautiful brown shade and I'm just going to work it in the lower outer third of the lash line and bring a little bit of that depth and kind of connect it up to the outer V a little bit. Alright, so the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hop off camera. I'm going to apply my mascara and a lip and we'll come back for the final reveal. Alright everyone, so here is the final look and as always, I am very happy with the way that it turned out. I feel so silly because I go into so many makeup looks being like, ugh, this could go badly, and then we get to the final look and I'm like, oh my god, I'm in love. But you know, I am. So I think that all the shadows applied really, really nicely and I'm very impressed so far with the quality of these Lethal Cosmetics eyeshadows and I'm really excited to be bringing you the next look. Hello everyone, welcome back for look number 3 using my Build Your Own palette from Lethal Cosmetics. So today I think I'm feeling this top row right here, mainly these mattes right here, kind of this dusty, purpley, mauve-y sort of situation. I don't know if I'm going to do an all matte look, but I think I'm going to try. That's something I almost never do, so it's worth a go. I'm going to start with this shade, with this shade right here. I'm going to put that into the crease. I'm going to blend it out with this kind of grayish shade here, and then I'm going to put this deeper shade all over the lid. Kind of see how we're looking from there and see what adjustments I want to make. So I have to say, this look could go a little sideways. I have actually had way too much coffee today. Oh my gosh, guys. I have the jitters, which is a rarity. I almost never get the jitters from caffeine, but today I've definitely got them. So it stormed like crazy last night and I could not sleep. It woke me up and I just could not fall back asleep. Now, luckily, it did not wake the baby. That was my chief concern because that thunder, oh my gosh, it was booming. It was booming, and you get like the real bright flash of lightning followed immediately by that thunder. So you know the storm was right there in its full intensity. So I really thought that it would wake him up, but thankfully it didn't. Because I got so little sleep though, I hit the coffee hard this morning on a mostly empty stomach, and I've got the jitters. So if I'm all over the place or I am less than blended, that is likely the reason for it. And I'm packing this color pretty substantially into the crease because I'm going to be blending the top out and the bottom out. I want to make sure that there's a good amount in there so that it doesn't get lost. Of course, I can always go back and intensify, but I want to set good groundwork. You know what I mean? Okay, so we're going to leave it there for the moment. Then we're going to go in with the fluffy brush and then into this sort of dusty grayish purple there. Blend out the top a little bit. Originally, I had thought to go in and do a faux wing with the burnt wood and brown shade, but I don't think that's going to happen today. I don't think that I have the precision needed to pull that off, you know what I mean? And as you can see, the headband is back to keep the bangs out of the way. I think I'm just going to pop back and forth between the two. Okay, and then this beautiful, beautiful color, we're going to pack all over the lids and see where we end up from there. I have a feeling we're going to get a little lost. Yeah, I think we're going to end up getting a little lost. Okay, that all sort of blended together. So let's try taking that original shade and packing that back into the crease, but honestly, I think it might end up being kind of the wrong tone to have done this with, which is my fault. Yeah, rather than having that nice gradient that I was envisioning, I don't think these are the right shades to have attempted that with. So what we're going to do is we're just going to blend, blend, blend. We're going to do basically like a monochromatic look. And we're going to top it with some of the glitter. Because you know what, friends? Glitter fixes everything, right? Glitter and lashes. Glitter and lashes. Oh, and liner. Okay, we are going to leave it there for the moment. I'm going to clean up the sides where I got a little bit messy, put on my face makeup. We'll come back and do the lower lash line. I mean, you know the drill. Alright, so here we are back with face makeup applied. And I'm going to go back in with the brush that I used in the crease, and I'm going to start by not putting any product on it. And I'm going to sweep that under the lower lash line just to see kind of how intense that goes, because I do kind of want to smoke it out just a little bit, but I don't want it getting away from me. And these shades are beautifully pigmented, so I'm just being a little bit cautious, because as you can see, I definitely got some nice payoff without putting my brush back into the shadow. So I feel like that was a good call. And I am taking it down just a little bit lower than I normally would, just because this is a very dark look and I want to make sure that it's balanced, but I don't want to go too overboard. Make sense? I hope so. So I had a little pointy brush a moment ago. I hate it when I think I've gotten myself nice and set up and then I look down and it's like, no you didn't. We'll use this one. Okay, so this is just a very pointy little brush and I'm gonna go back into this shade that I have all over the lid and I'm just gonna work that into the very, very outer corner to help maintain that shape. But being careful not to go, again, with the overboard. Okay, like I said, just a real little bit. But I do want to, I really like the way that this looks, to be quite honest with you, but when am I ever satisfied? So I think I want to take one of these shimmery shades and just pat it over the top. And the two that I'm kind of debating between are the kind of pinky duochrome sort of color and this coppery shade. So I think I'm going to start with the pinky one and just use my finger to kind of tap that over, see how it looks, and then go from there. I mean, it's just makeup. Can't hurt. Just trying to bring some overall kind of dimensionality to a matte look. You can't really tell. I mean, you can tell a little bit because it does pick up the light. So to further sort of reinforce that, I'm going to take just a little bitty brush and I'm going to still maintain with this shade right here. I'm going to pack it all in the inner, that would have been tragic. Pack it all in the inner corner for, I can't even remember where my brain was going to go. For that beautiful pop. Yes. That shade is gorgeous. And I'm going to bring it down onto the lower lash line some. I really like these kind of statement-y inner corners. I think that looks nice. I think because I'm using the brush, I'm going to try to bring it a little bit further up on the inner third of the eyelid as well. Kind of blend it all together and elongate that inner corner. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. Okay, so again, I'm gonna jump off camera. I'm gonna go ahead and put on a lip and some mascara. We'll come back for the final reveal. All right, my friends, so that concludes this video and look number 3 using my Build Your Own palette from Lethal Cosmetics. This has been so much fun so far, and I am just so inspired by the colors that I chose in this palette, and I'm really stoked to be bringing you the rest of the looks from this series. I hope that you have enjoyed these first 3 looks. I'm interested to know of these 3, which one did you like the best? I know I have my thoughts, but I'm curious about yours. If you are new, welcome. I hope that you'll consider subscribing before you leave. And if you've enjoyed this, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I hope that you're having an amazing day, and I will see you next time. Bye.